Well, here's the Rotary Evap. I'm gonna go ahead and get her started up. So the first thing, turn on the chiller. It takes a minute, well, more like 30 minutes for this to cool down. Right now it's running at 20 C and we want it to be at negative 20 C. So we'll do that, and then here's the pump. Fill that up. Gotta fill up the bowl. And also gotta get this thing nice and cold. And I'll come back and we'll get this going. Okay, all the equipment is set. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the cycling. That's the pump that pumps it up through here. Get all the bubbles out. And we really want to get that whole column chilled down to about negative 20. So, as you can see, now that I'm including the loop up there, the temp is going up. So I've got another 20-25 minutes before this thing is chilled down again. This is the reservoir in here. And then we can go ahead and start running products. So, time to go get the extractions ready. This is the vacuum pump. Needs to stay cool. So I'm going to get this filled up above that little piece, and then you'll see how that works. Here's the business end of the vacuum pump, and it goes here in the ice water. It's going to melt that over time, so I'll have to replace the ice. But that also acts as a cold trap. That thing is good enough to start a Harley. And then it runs through this vacuum regulator before it goes up and causes the vacuum in there, which causes the condensation. So the water I put in was a little bit hot. We're gonna let it cool off while everything is powering up. But now I need to set the water level. And the way I do that is I bring this down, or up rather. That's about where she's gonna run, and that's a little too tall for me, so I'm gonna let some water out. Right down here on this valve. I'm just putting it in a bucket down there. A little bit more out. Okay. So that's where she's going to run all day long. We're just going to let that stabilize out. I'm looking for 35 degrees Celsius. All right, let's start this off by grabbing some Durban poison. This is about negative 40. You see how quickly it frosts up. There we go. Alright, just let that drain for another minute or so, and then we'll go in there and get the fats out of it. Okay, she's drained enough, so there's a couple of options with what to do right now. We could run that again, which I typically don't. We could winterize this further by putting it back in the freezer and letting the fats coagulate, which is what I will do. And we'll come back in a little bit and show you the next step. And now I just keep processing through everything. Then we're going to get it back in the freezer. And what that does is, it's called winterization. It allows the long, fatty chains to recongeal based on temperature, and then it's easier to filter them out at the other end. So we're gonna get these back in the freezer, just process through them all, and that's what's next. So this is how I get it into the Rotary Evap after it's been winterized. I'm gonna grab that Buckner filter that's cold, I pulled that out of the deep freeze. We're going to put in hopefully you can see that, a medium flow filter. Give that filter just a tiny drink. And then we turn on the vacuum. And here we go. So the white part, the blonde part, that's all fatty acids, lipids. Still getting my chiller temp down, but I'm gonna go ahead and load this up over here. And the way that's done, first turn on the vacuum. Okay, that's going to create a vacuum up here. So now all I have to do is open this valve and the product gets sucked in to the bowl. Yeah, we get it. You're noisy. Okay. So that's my first run. That's Durban poison. Okay, it's time for the startup. So let's kick on the vacuum. Turn it on here. And that's going to start high. And it's going to run down to about 25 torr. So let's get this guy spinning. We're going to take that up to 125. Come here, you. Okay. Should see the temperature drop down now because we're taking energy out of that very cold liquid. I want that to be 35, which puts the vapor at 20 degrees. This is all in Celsius, which puts the chiller will run at about 0 by the time it gets completely in the groove here, and the vacuum will jump down to 125 torr. It's working its way down now. The reason that we have the regulator is to prevent bumping. Bumping is where the material kicks all the way up here into the neck and could potentially go into the output. Well, if you went directly to 25 torr, that would be a giant ball of bubbles in there. You'll see what I mean. So I'll come back in a minute when it's actually running and show you what that looks like. We're working our way down towards 25, and you can see how violently we are bubbling in here now, which has started the reclamation process. So that's pure ethanol dripping down here. And we're not at full blast yet, it's just now turning on. So we'll see how quickly that comes through in a second. This is on the edge of bumping. You can see product coming up here into the throat. It's obviously not making it into the output, but that is why I find this to be essential. But a lot of people run it without one. Okay, we're just about running pressure. It's still counting its way down. We're getting a good coil. And this is what looks like. And of course, dripping into the horn and down into the reclaim vessel. From there, once I release the vacuum at the end of the run, I'll open up that valve and reclaim the alcohol directly back into the bottle, which goes back in the freezer. Okay, we're at the end of this first run. This is Durban Poison. It's sticking pretty good. So it's time to go ahead and shut off the vacuum. And we can start to break the vacuum. And what we're going to do is we're going to drain all this out and then pop this off. So I'm going to break and do that and come back. Okay, I just shut off the vacuum. I'm going to go ahead and lower this down. You probably can't see that, but this is slowing down. So now I can go ahead and release the vacuum. All right. I'm going to leave that one open. That way I can drain directly. So it's refilling the Everclear bottle. Perfect. So now I shut these two valves back off. Let that chiller catch up. Pop this guy off. And that's what we end up with. That's going to come over here. I'm going to need to move the camera for that. So, this is Durban Poison. We're going to do this with it. Okay, 5 more to go. On to the next one. Turn on the pump. This is cold. Put in a new filter. This is obviously friggin' cold. First you gotta wet the filter, get your seal, and then you can dump it in. Ooh, that smells like lemon. Oh, it's so cold, it hurts your hands. But the idea here is that the longer you let it sit in the freezer, you'll actually see clouds of lipids form. And if you keep everything cold, you can mechanically filter those lipids out. That's what this is about. Okay, so while it's trying to suck syrup through a straw over here, it's time to change my reclaim bottle. This is the one from Durban Poison, and this will be White Widow. Just 3D printed apart to keep it from burping and gurgling. And here it is. The reclaimed Okay, we got White Widow spinning up right now. Evaporation and condensation has begun. Not quite down to vacuum yet, but she's spitting pretty good. So now it's time to take this guy, give him a lid, and he goes in the vacuum oven for safekeeping. Okay. Wait till we get all 6 of them before I go ahead and decarb. So a little discussion on settings. This guy right now is controlling, it's going below 25. You can hear it clicking on and off to try to maintain that 25. As I said, this thing will suck start a Harley. And there's the ice water in there. If you don't have ice water in there, it does not get down to 25 floor. I'm running at about -5 on the coil, and this is all a balancing act. The temperature that you're putting on the skin is going to set the temperature that the vapor is at, which sets the temperature that your coil needs to be at in order to stay at peak efficiency. And so you have several different set points that you have to mind, and this is what I have found works best for this system. If I try to run it any faster than this, the chiller can't keep up. If I, try to change the temperature, maybe the vacuum can't keep up. So it's a matter of getting everything correct and the most efficient that you possibly can for this specific device.